fun. Hello and welcome again to the Hero Podcast. My name is Ryan G from the Netherlands, and of course, my co host, the real Pete Kirk from New Zealand. Pete, what are we talking about?
Well, today it's a bit of an interesting topic. It kind of reflects on a book I've been reading recently. Fantastic story of heroes and villains and everyone caught in between and on the outsides. It's something we often think about in the hero's story is we're being the hero, we get wrapped up in our own part. We forget about all the other characters and all the other things and how it all works together in that larger picture. It's very easy. And that leads me to a topic which is, it's kind of funny. I would call it job security for heroes. So what is job security for heroes? Well, being a hero is not a job. So technically it's a role. So it's like role security, but job security is a concept that we understand. If you're a electrician, someone calls you out to their house to fix the fault. You turn up to their house, you fix it, you're out of a job. You've made yourself obsolete by doing the task. Now that's okay because probably you live in a city and there's other houses with other faults and that's what you do. You go to place, you solve the task and you move on. And it's like being a hero. A hero is like a plumber or an electrician in the way that they turn up, they fix it, they move on. I guess there's less call for a hero to turn up and plumb a house or wire a house in the first place. But it's like that repairman. And I think often when we set out on a heroic journey or a heroic quest, or we try and do something that's bigger and bolder and brighter and better or whatever it is that's heroic that we're trying to achieve, it often has an end. And unless we've thought about new beginnings throughout our journey, we won't have any middles to follow on or new beginnings to follow on from our end, and we'll be caught adrift. Not the worst thing in the world, right? Like there's lots of people out there who are freelance professionals at whatever they do, and they do a project and then they have some free time till they find another one. And you can be a hero like that. I think the biggest problem is when I can't imagine it's unique to the hero, but we've probably all heard the tale where the biggest problem for the hero was that they were a hero. Take, for example, if you are an incredibly powerful sorcerer and wizard, and you turn up in a kingdom that's being ravaged by a dragon, and they say, we're under attack from this dragon. We're nothing but simple men with bows and shields and swords. And we're so worried about being attacked by this dragon. Well, if you defeat the dragon, they're just simple men with bows and shields and swords. If they're so worried about being attacked, now you're the most threatening thing in the kingdom. And it seems simple, but it's amazing how often in our lives we miss this, especially when we're doing big things. And you'll put aside petty intrapersonal politics and things for a bigger purpose and a bigger goal, and then out of somewhere someone will do something really petty and like backstab you, and you'll be thinking like, what the hell? And it's that part where I think it's like a good example is like Survivor, where you see the real powerful characters and the real powerful players getting knocked out right before the end because people are, well, they're too much of a threat, we let them go through. And I think as a hero, that's sort of the danger. You put yourself in that noble position, and sometimes that makes it a noble sacrifice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes very much sense.
I imagine that in terms of if you're conducting yourself heroically, you'll see the way that you transition through phases. And I guarantee where you've been working with your clients and things, you've found that you've turned up, you've solved the problem, and then you need to move on. And probably we've all been in a situation where once we've solved the problem, we stayed longer than we should have. It's easy for the electrician to know when to leave. It's hard for the coach sometimes. Does that resonate with you, Ryan?
It does. This works both in the fantasy world as well as the real one. I mean, take the example of simple politics. Once, let's say, the danger of the dragon, the devil, the demon king has been solved, would we need the hero anymore? Or, seeing how he's the most powerful being in the kingdom, he might be considered a political opponent. And the
Oh yeah.
faster we, yeah, why? Because what is most popular? The guy, the king that rules, or the hero that literally has saved the kingdom? It's obvious that, if he doesn't want to be a part of my political party, he automatically risks becoming ostracized. If you understand
You know
what I
what?
mean.
It's fascinating because the person who comes to mind is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was an action star. He was a movie hero,
Uh huh.
and then he transitioned into politics. And because people saw him in that light, it really helped his transition. And I can imagine whoever was sitting in the chair of the office that they lost to him was looking at him like, damn, I can't stop this guy. They would have felt that threat when they heard this movie star decides to think that, oh, no, the hero surely could have taken the position of this. And then, oh, shit, I'm going to lose my job. And that's like an example that jumps into my mind. You did on.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Now, instead of instead of on a Schwarzenegger, Kanye West. Now it
Gosh.
because and he went for president. And could you imagine, there might be, if you believe in the multi-universe theory, there might be a universe out there, or universes out there, where Kanye West is a competent president. Imagine the insanity behind that. Not insane because he's Kanye West, but it's Kanye West because it's insane.
Well, the thing that's interesting is that in a less corrupt system, ironically, in a less corrupt system, there's more chance of Kanye West being president because with less corruption,
Uh huh.
notoriety and well knownness and fame play an inordinate balance for winning a presidency because it's a popularity contest. Joe Bloggs from down the street might be the best person, but the entire country needs to know who Joe Bloggs is to vote for him. So people who are already famous for something have that step in the door. And I guess it's almost where you want to say that, heroism,
Yeah.
one person's hero is somebody else's villain. So some people would say Kanye West is a hero. Some people would say he's a villain. Some people would say he's just crazy. But whatever he is, he's well known and he's well renowned. And often that ties in with being a hero, being well known. Because you can be heroic and you can do fantastically heroic things that are practically unsung. But it's, if you're saving people in the dim corners of the world and not talking about it and those people who are saved are probably talking about it. So it doesn't matter how much you're trying to stay out of the way as a hero, you'll generate some ripples. And that's a good thing, right? You want to put some positive energy out into the universe in that way. So just keep
Sure.
doing heroic things. It's not about, one of the best things I ever learned when I was doing business in Australia was that it's not about what you do when people are watching. It's about what you do when people are not watching.
Right.
It's about like when you're doing the work and you're showing people you're doing the work, that's great. But what about when no one's around? How is your work ethic when no one's watching you? And I think that really speaks to the hero because that's what starts generating that positive balance on a karmic scale, however you want to look at it. And if you do get to a point where you solve the big problems, you solve the big threats, you become the savior, and you are so powerful, then you can end up in that step 2 position where it's like, well, now you're the biggest, scariest thing on the block. Story I've been reading lately. I really don't want to spoil it. The story's fantastic. Towards the end, keep this as vague as possible. Someone gains the ability to take control of other humans. and they're under threat from for lack of a better word, alien opponent who is invincible. Now, if every single human worked together, we could overwhelm with our strength of numbers versus the one. But this alien already calculated using future sight that we won't do that because we are dumb and we fight amongst each other. That's our greatest weakness, is that humanity can't fucking work together. So a hero steps up to the plate with the ability to force every human to work together, which then creates a team of millions of humans working together. And with that unstoppable might of cooperation, humanity wins.
See,
Hooray! 10 seconds later, once everyone's stopped cheering, everyone is still cheering, but they notice the person sitting there who made those calls, who made those decisions, who forced everyone to work together and all the rest of it, and they start thinking, well, you're not going to do that again, are you? Yeah. Or how many people are you going to do that to? Is 1 okay? Is 10 okay? Is none okay? Oh shit, you're the biggest threat in the room. All of humanity, you were the hero 10 seconds ago, but now you're the most dangerous person because you can control anyone. And that's a very extreme example. If there's anyone who's listening to this podcast and then now in the future who isn't the ability to control all of humanity and save the world, do these kind of things, please do the right thing. Please be a hero. Don't give in to the power. Because in that moment, one of the things I thought was really cool in the story was the character was reminded to look towards what really matters. What really matters because when you're at the dizzying heights of being able to do anything and all the rest of it, that's probably one of the most important parts of the hero, is being able to stay true to yourself.
right.
It doesn't matter if they give you $10 million.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter if they put you in charge of a country. You need to not get swept away with that power, and you need to be a hero and do the right thing. Always comes down to those 4 basic principles: courage, justice, wisdom, discipline. Do the right thing, no matter how powerful you get. And if anyone is interested in the story and what happens to that character, it's not the end of their story in that moment. So I'm not going to spoil it, but just drop me a line, drop me a DM. It's a fantastic story. If you love your superhero stories, I'll share that out. But it really highlights about, there's dangers to being a hero. Right. You can certainly slip very easily from being somebody's savior to somebody's threat if their perception of the situation changes. And sometimes it's nothing to do with you. All it takes is, sometimes a negative someone to put something into their ear. You never know. And I find it almost makes me wish I was just an electrician where I could turn up and I could fix electrical fault, walk out the door. When you're working with people as a hero trainer, one of the biggest things I do is I probably don't reach out enough. I err on that side of you reach out to me and I will help you get it under control and solve the problem you're challenging. Doesn't matter what it is. Guaranteed. That sounds like a ridiculous claim to make, but I know what I'm working with and I know how to do it, right? Like, if you talk to me for half an hour and I've not made you into a better place to handle the problem, post it all over the internet, all over social media, tell everyone in the fucking world I'm useless. I put my life in it, put my reputation in it. I know how good I am at what I do. But again, it's a balance, right? Like, it's like that parent who steps into their child's life too much to help, ruins that child's life. That child grows up to not be able to deal for themselves. And then obviously the counterexample is the parent who doesn't step in enough. And we need that awareness. How do you find that when you're interacting with clients in a business sense, that you draw that line between helping too much, but obviously you've got to make sure you're helping enough? What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
That's a really good question. Well, it all starts with scoping from the get-go and really being clear on what the expectations are. Hence, you have the so-called diagnostic session. Let's say that's what the free call is usually about. Get the free call session, let's see what's it about. and see even if the client, quote unquote, prospect is interested or is sincerely wants my help. I still need to do it because I need to know whether I can really solve it. And because of that, I can immediately start to scope in on how urgent is it? When does it need to be finished? So from the get-go, we both know what we're dealing with. And if it takes a bit
Mm.
longer or we're finished faster, so be it, or it's fantastic. And then I simply let it go until the next time we work together. But in the sense of making it into a retention project, one company or one person usually has have more than one problem. And it's in that finding the problems is where we make the money. Because on the one hand, yes, we want to improve the client. On the other hand, we want to keep making money, and it's in finding the delicate balance is where we succeed. Now, the point is also we have to stay realistic. Never just bet on one client. Never just be on one adventure. Because once the adventure ends, the need to be on it comes. And it's like this vicious cycle of you see it with martial artists, you see it with the retired military veterans. They need that rush. It's so part of who they are, either part of their identity, part of the greatest experiences of their lives, that it's no wonder that once the journey is over, after a quick 1 or 2 day vacation, they want to go back and do what they're good at, being a hero, helping people. And it is a tragic tale when a hero without a continuity plan is doomed to be both his and his society's worst enemy. If you understand what I'm saying.
It's funny because I think there's sort of uh, there's two options,
Right.
right? You either have Hancock, who's a good example of a hero with no direction, and he becomes not really a hero at all, and well then he becomes a hero, but whatever. Or you've got Superman, right? Superman's a very one-dimensional character until you introduce Lois Lane, because he's a hero, he turns up, he saves things, he leaves, and when you were saying about you have, retired martial arts, military guys, whatever, they have to do something of that rush. Heroes, they have to stay on the adventure. I see a lot of things that I do in my life, which sometimes I'm like, why am I doing that? What, like, why am I putting my effort, my time into this person? They're not paying me, like, I'm just called to do it. Well, that's because I just can't stop being a hero. I just can't stop helping people. When I see a way I can make that positive impact in somebody's life. And it's not just that, it's being that balance, right? Where I can help them make the positive impact in their life. Like, I had a very touchy conversation today. When you're a very powerful person and you talk to very powerful people and you talk about very sensitive subjects, you have very defining that borderline. It's like you said at the beginning of a consult with a client, you work out what are the problems, what are we working out here? And I definitely had that conversation where we talked around what's the issue.
Yep.
And they weren't actively asking for my help, but I could see there was something. And I had to ask a few questions. Now, their answer they gave me, I thought, well, sweet as. Like, I'm totally happy to leave you where you are with everything like that. I don't need to offer anything, but I have a feeling that having the conversation probably was the value. It helped them clarify where they were, because the
Yep.
way they were communicating and acting, they didn't give off that certainty that they were clear on their path.
Right.
After we talked to them, they did.
Of
So
course.
I think that makes a very good point. It's about setting up what is the problem, specifying it. So having a plan, number one, and number two, being flexible to say, what other problems are there that we can solve, and as long as it's value adding that we're solving problems here, then we're not doing anything unethical, then we are being a hero, we're doing good business, we're doing the right thing. Is you start in a position where as soon as you're not adding value,
Uh-huh.
as soon as you're not adding value and you're in business for the sake of being in business and all the rest of it,
Uh-huh.
then it's slipping, and it's all of a sudden you're going to find yourself
In a bad
not being a
place.
hero, in a bad
I,
place. That you're going to find yourself becoming a threat to the business instead of an asset.
I see.
Uh, there's your job security that you're eliminating, because you can't make something real that's not real. If you're not providing value, you're not providing value. But if you are, you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to measure that not just about what you're doing, but about how it's being received, how it's turning up in results, da 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 da. Because I know I can talk to people and provide value, but I can't guarantee that they're listening. I can't guarantee that they're acting on what I say. So there's a lot of people where I can guarantee I can change your life, but I can guarantee you can't do what's required. So I can guarantee that I can't change your life at the end of the day because you can't uphold the other side of
I see.
it. You have to know. And that's what you're saying about having that call or that assessment at the beginning when you start to work with someone.
It's the idea of before I can give medicine, I need to do a quick diagnostics, like how doctors do. I can give you all the medicine in the world, but I need to both see, okay, what's the problem really? And
Mm-hmm.
what what medicine is truly suited to my client's taste. I mean, some type of medicine will react badly because of the client's allergies, and I need to know that as his hero. And I believe doctors in many ways are almost the not per se on song, but let's say quote unquote we expect them to be the hero because it's part of their
Mm.
job. This is
Yeah, well, it
literally
is in a way.
related to their health. And in many ways I believe it's a very funny thing between the human nature of wanting to be the hero as well as winning in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can somehow make this more practical with the idea of service to the world for a profit, first I serve the world, and of course I have a contingency plan to keep doing that, building a system that once I'm gone, there's still a system in place that should the problem or very similar problems come up again, like dandelions,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a dandelion picker or terminator to make sure these dandelions never exist again. Now, from an ecological perspective, don't do it. But from a symbolic perspective, you get the point.
I get the analogy. Yeah, and you're right. Like it, it doesn't matter if a dandelion picker or a dandelion terminator. They both solve the problem. No
Exactly.
dandelions.
So the point I'm trying to make is a hero is not the moment let's say a person, man, woman, whatever creature decides to act on his heroic instincts. He is
Mm.
no longer simply the individual serving the individual. He, she, whatever, becomes the entity that serves the world within a specific time. And the individual, let's say, is just so specialized in what he's good at in that, let's say, being a hero in a certain context, that, like you said before during our coaching call for me, where should he want to grow, there's only but a few paths that he can take. He either becomes a politician, he becomes a trainer of other assassins or heroes or mercenaries. Ultimately, the hero becomes a system creator The system being, he saved the village and he trains the villagers to become even more self-sufficient, self-reliant, so that when he's
Mm,
gone, they know how to defend themselves, and they only have to wear their emblem just to remember I'm a hero too. And it's in that frame of mind you start to see where heroes can easily save themselves by teaching others how to save the day in the most simplest way. Because that's what we
that's
do
great.
as business optimizers, that's what we do as character optimizers, that's what you do when you go to the doctor or whatever philosopher.
Mm,
If you see what I did there, you understand. Because the only
it
thing
does.
we're really doing is we're talking, we're communicating. The true art of humankind is communication. A trade is or transaction is simply I have agreed I want your wares, you've agreed that you want to give me your wares for this price. Fantastic, we have a deal. Thank you so much. And we continue on. There has been communication.
There has to be communication for a value exchange to happen. Otherwise, it's impossible. Everything like runs on communication. I agree.
And thus I truly believe that be it marketing, be it sales, be it even if you're in IT, improve your communication from the perspective of I am in service to my clients, the users within the company, the employees within the
Mm.
company, the world to whatever extent, to myself to whatever extent. And we humans love playing games. So why not create a game that makes your life easier, that makes whomever lives you work with easier, and just leave it as is? Once the adventure is over, fuck it, start a new adventure, start a new game. Search for the joy
Totally.
in life. It doesn't have to end. So what if you lost a job? You could find another one. So what if your girlfriend dumped you? You could change subject communication, rejuvenate yourself, become the so-called Renaissance man, and find out more about yourself. All a job is an extension of your character, or the heroic journey is nothing more than an extension of what you are. A human being in search of itself, a god experiencing a human life. Pete, what's up?
Yeah, you're speaking. You're speaking absolutely where I'm thinking as well. It's that inner freedom that you gain when you understand that you're the character in the story. And yes, you are the character in the story, but it's in a story. So yeah, sure, you might want everything to be sunshine and rainbows all the time, but if there isn't some bad people and there isn't some conflict and there isn't some drama, the story sucks. Your
Yeah,
life's got to have some of that shit. Now, how you handle that will dictate the story because there's going to be some conflict and some drama. If you
right.
handle it not like a hero, there's probably going to be more unnecessary, unproductive conflict and drama.
Yeah. And
But
he
when
who
you
is
act,
most productive earns the most. It's the same thing as your time is limited. And as a hero, brother, you need to start becoming the expert in being that in whatever field that you are. I mean, people are
big time.
literally hiring you to save their lives in some aspect.
Well, I think that's where you were touching on communication before being so critically important. And I think that people haven't grasped how many subjects are available to them to study in the world because they went through a school system that said there's X amount, when really there's probably about 7X amount. They were just hidden from you.
Yeah,
At university it branches into 3X and you think, oh my God, so many options. No, there's like 7X amount and you just weren't told about the rest because you
yeah,
can't learn them in traditional places. And the skill of communication is never properly taught. Both you and I know what we put in outside of what would be regularly expected to study and master these arts. And I know how, as a hero, You made such a good point about it. It's not just about turning up and saving the village. It's about turning up, saving the village, teaching the village how you did it and how they can save themselves next time.
Yep. And
And
as
that
you go
doesn't
from
just
a coach to a consultant to ultimately the mentor that just drops by every now and again to audit the system.
exactly, all of these words, right? You can be a mentor, you can be a coach, you can be a hero trainer, you can be a consultant, you can be an advisor, you can be a strategist, you can be what do they call them? The like the slang for like the boffins. We bring in the expert, and it doesn't matter what your skills are, right? If you turn up to help them with nuclear physics, or you turn up to help them with martial arts, or you turn up to help them with cooking, communication is the only thing which will take your skill from you to them, and that's what you need to be damn good at. Now, they call it teaching, but I tell you, in the teaching industry, they don't teach communication. So
This
that's
is
probably something we
hilarious.
get into a whole nother time. But I think helping people express themselves and communicate themselves better in many aspects of their life, personal, business, relationships, internally in their own mind, how they see themselves, to create that hero. That's what I do as a hero trainer in business, to create those results and create systems they can express themselves into so their communication flows to create money. That's what you do. That's
Exactly.
where communication is that power.
Yeah.
And I love how, as we go over these podcasts, it helps me remind me what I do and how I do it. And I also see what you do and how you do it. And anyone listening, I hope they get the benefit too. I hope they can see how what we're talking about, they can apply in their lives to do what they do better and to improve their communication, whatever it is.
Of course. Of course. And to end it, I would simply say, regardless of whether you're playing the hero role or the villain role, come from a place of ease. You as a leader, you don't have to be stressed. You don't. It doesn't have to be difficult. It's how you perceive it to be. And secondly, create systems to ease the pain, to create ease within your life and the life of others, and play it as you would play a game, expertly, with grace, and with enjoyment. Any lasting notes or any end notes, Pete?
No, you're exactly right, Ryan. Operate from a place of ease, work through those systems, focus on that communication.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, brother.
Fantastic.
That's heroic.
My name is Ryan G from the Netherlands, owner and head coach of ADS Aligned Data Strategy, with my co host, the real Pete Kirkwood, hero creator, kingmaker. This has been the Hero Podcast 64. I wish you a fantastic life. Good day.